Physical Therapy headquarters community. Hope you're all having a fantastic start to your week. Ben, I know you are, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. Still recovering from a bachelor party in Vegas, but we're hanging in there.
We all need the occasional bachelor party in Vegas, I think, especially with how much work we're doing on a regular basis. We all need a vacation.
Yeah.
I know you folks listening right now, you're probably looking forward to a vacation or need one. And so today, what we're going to be doing is talking about how can we go on vacation more often and be completely guilt free while doing it. Meaning, while we're on vacation, we're actually able to continue to make money and be confident that we're not just spending money, but we're essentially reinvesting profits that basically cover our vacations and our lifestyles. And so, what we're going to be talking about is passive income because so many PTs that I'm talking to, they're talking about launching online programs. They're talking about creating online communities, group coaching, and building their own micro clinics or their own large scale practices. And everyone is after this elusive passive income. And Ben and I mean, between the two of us, Ben, like how many businesses would you guess that we've probably started?
I mean, you've also included real estate LLCs. I mean, currently I have 7 businesses
Yeah.
technically right now.
Yeah. And we're running between myself and just since we started this, since I was 18, since I've been chasing passive income, launched about 5 or 6 companies myself, got 2, 3 in the works right now. And so Ben and I have been pursuing passive income basically our entire careers. And so today we're going to share what it is we've learned. And we discovered basically an infinite money glitch, a way for you to continue to make passive income. We're going to get into what that really means, and to continue to provide for yourself and for your family in a way that not only allows you to have time freedom, but allows you to reinvest into other wealth creation strategies. And so today we're going to demystify the whole thing. So a lot of people have no idea what it actually is. So Ben, passive income. Whenever you hear somebody say it, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I wanted as well, and it's not what people think it is. Like we were talking earlier, it's not creating an ebook and selling it online and just seeing the money roll in.
Right.
That just doesn't exist. The best way to get, in my opinion, for passive income is through buying back your time,
Mm-hmm.
right? How are you able to generate revenue when it's not directly tied to your time, like you physically doing that? And that's through hiring.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost is through hiring. And then the other part of it is once you have a self-sustaining practice, now you can start reinvesting those funds into real estate, into stocks, which is passive, right?
Right.
So that's much more passive than even though, like, even with hiring, you still got to manage people, obviously. So I argue it's not 100% passive, but
Yeah.
it's the most passive that you're going to get in the physical therapy space, in my opinion. And not just passive, but you can make large amounts of revenue. Like, for example, when
Mm-hmm.
I was in Vegas from Thursday through Sunday, we generated over $40,000. That was passive. I literally did not work for the entirety of those 3.5, 4 days, and we generated $40,000. So that is, and the reason that I was able to do that
Mm-hmm.
is through hiring, right? Obviously, before I left, I had to, for the month's, entirety, I still had to manage people, and have systems built out. So, it's more sweat equity. There's just things that you have to do up front and continuously do, to sustain that. But that's what allows you to go on vacation, go on trips, take time
Mm-hmm.
off, and still have revenue, be able to be sick and not feeling the
Right.
best I am right now. You can argue I've been out of commission for, not just 4 days to Vegas, but 2 or 3 days after as well. Right. So that's what allows me to take like a week off, and conclude these last 6 or 7 days, we've generated over 70,000. Right.
Yeah.
So that was only achieved through hiring. And that's just PT, now that I've also had real estate that was generating passive revenue during that time as well. But I wouldn't have that real estate. I wouldn't have those stocks and stuff like that if it wasn't for creating business that works without me, and
Right.
through hiring and systems and processes and all that too. So it's a stepping stone there.
Right. And real estate and secondary investments, that's like the second tier of reaching to passive income. Now, like for me, like I'm able to every year go spend a few months in a different part of the world, whether it's in Europe or right now in San Diego, because I have a business that is self-sustaining to a degree where it's like I'm able to move around and work from anywhere. And it's only because of the way that I've structured things. I think a big mistake that a lot of people believe is that passive income is about a product or a service or a business, and it's not. It really all boils down to systems. Systems are what create passive income, and in order to build systems, that requires a lot of front end work. One of my coaches that I talked to, he said that hustling isn't a business model; it is a season. And in order to create the systems, you have to really hustle. You have to really like work your ass off. And then only after you've worked your ass off do you learn what truly works. And then do you have the opportunity to systematize it. And once it's systematized, now you're able to plug people into that system and get your time back. And so that's what people have to realize. It's not like, oh, I'm going to, make some money in my practice and then I'm going to launch this ebook or this online program for passive income. It's like, that isn't how things work. And so it's like, I want to break down like the three different like ways you can do this, where it's like what getting to passive income with an online coaching company or online product looks like, what it looks like for a practice. So we can kind of show people the reality of what it actually takes to get time and financial freedom as a physical therapist. So let's start with like the online programs. Let's just talk logistics on that, Ben. Like if you're selling an online product, let's talk about how many people you need to sell to on a monthly basis just to maintain $10,000 a month.
Yeah,
let's break that down.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on what you charge for it, but then you've got to put ad spend behind it, like ad spend to get that reach out there, and then people purchase it. It's really difficult to make that work. I personally have never seen it done.
Right.
I personally have not seen it done, and there's just so many things that go from a financial logistical standpoint that make it. There's a reason nobody's done it, right? So, you do a really good job of, and obviously you have tons of experience with the online space, with that too, not just with physical therapy, but other industries too. What have you seen?
I mean, it's the reality is like, let's say you just want to make $10,000 a month. If you have $100 product, well, then you need $100 product hit $10,000. You need 1,000 people. No, not 1,000. 100 people to buy every single month. And that is a lot. And maybe right now you have a following, and maybe you can get to that first $10,000 month by running like a promo cycle and really pushing it. But now you got to redo that every single month in order to do $10,000. Or even if you charge $1,000 a month for whatever service you have, now you got to sell 10 of those every single month. And
even that 10,000, that's not take home. That's revenue.
Right.
So if you want to take home 10,000, you're going to be having to generate at least 20,000.
Right.
So now you're going to sell 200 of those $100 products. So
right.
Just want to make that point very clear.
No, it's a really good point. And it's like, in order to get to the point where you are able to make $10,000 a month passively, and you have, passively means you're managing other people. And eventually you can replace yourself to a degree where someone else is managing all those people. But let's just talk about the scale you need to get to in order to do that. If you want to you get yourself to $10,000 a month, the first thing you're going to hand off is most likely the sales component to that. Now, in order to bring on a salesperson that's of any quality, they need to have an opportunity to make $5,000 to $10,000 a month through commissions on your sales. Well, now you need to be doing closer to $50,000 to $100,000 a month in order to be able to hit that commission and make sure that you're able to retain good salespeople. Now, to manage those salespeople, that's going to be your time, or you're going to need to run ads in order to have enough leads coming in for that salesperson to be able to work to make that commission as well. And then it's hiring someone for fulfillment. And so in order to really build a self-sustaining online product that's going to be competitive, because you're competing against the whole world and whatever it is you're doing, you have to build a pretty large company like Clinical Marketer in order to create that passive-ish income that you want to create, which is really, really challenging. And it changes every 6 months, because everything you find that works, even if you're the first to figure it out, within 6 months, all of your competitors are going to be copying and doing the exact same thing. And so building a passive online business requires scale so that you can actually buy back your time and replace yourself. But then it also requires mastery and obsession over online marketing and digital marketing, because it's constantly changing. And in order to sustain a business long term, you always have to be at the forefront of what it is you're doing. And so that's why I recommend going the other direction and building a micro clinic and turning that into a full-time practice, because it's actually a lot easier to do. Not that it's easy, it's simple, it's not easy, but the rules don't change on you every 6 months because of digital marketing. It reaches a point of self-sustainability if you're good at what you're doing based on referrals. So Ben, why don't we talk about what's the path look like to create passive income as a practice owner versus launching an online product?
Yeah. So first things first is you have to be proficient in anything that you're going to ask somebody else to do. That's first and foremost. There's every single thing in my business that I've hired out, I've done and mastered before handing it off, right? And that takes time. So for me, that looked like getting great at the patient experience. How do I go about doing the evaluation? How do I go about that first phone call? How do we greet patients when they walk through the door? How do we make sure patients are happy? What surveys are we giving them? When do we give them those surveys? What marketing are we doing, right? How do we run Facebook ads? How do we ask for referrals? How do we ask for Google reviews, right? How do we improve SEO? Every single thing within the business, you have to be proficient at it first before handing it off.
Yep.
So for me, what was easiest to hand off was patient care, right? The physical therapist, they know how to be a physical therapist. The thing that is most tough is teaching them sales. So you have to be proficient at sales and know what you're doing there. So that's where I handed the PT aspect off, because it was much easier to train a PT on how to do sales than handing it off for like an admin to do phone call sales. In my opinion, sales over the phone and when a patient is calling in is 10 times harder than doing in-person sales. So after that evaluation, that's where I handed that off. That's where I started getting my time back. And I still remember the first time that I first got a taste of passive income. I had just hired my first PT. I think it was about 12 months into the business, and just hired my first PT. And I went home for lunch, and I saw a notification of over $2,000 just processed, right? So the PT generated, sold a package, and I was at lunch. I was not treating that patient, and that was my first time that I ever tasted passive income, and it was great.
That's a great feel. I remember the first time one of our first sales rep closed their first deal, and that's just such a good feeling. It's like the first time you're like, holy crap, like I figured it out. Yeah.
And so then from there, it was just getting more of my time back, and I hired another PT, and then eventually a front desk individual to greet patients, and then sales. And at that point, that's where it really gets passive. You've got somebody doing the phone calls, greeting patients, and you've got somebody doing the fulfillment, aka treating patients, right? Obviously, there's a lot of other things that go on with the business. Now I had to learn how to manage people, right? Now I have a clinic director in place at each location that manages people. So I have more of my time back there as well. So that's kind of the steps. In most simplest terms, it was hiring a PT, then hiring a front desk, and then hiring a clinic director to manage
Yep.
those people. Now I manage the clinic directors, and they manage the rest of the staff. So for me
Right.
to manage my clinics, I have one L10 meeting with each clinic director, and then I have one L10 meeting with the front desk as well as the clinic director, and one call with
Yep.
my sales individual. And that is really the only meetings that I have. And the business would be so self-sustaining. I don't know
Yep.
how much it would continue to grow if I just stopped completely, but it would slow down. The growth would slow down. And so mine is really just how fast do I want this thing to grow, and that's how I determine how much time do I want to be putting in each day.
Right. And there's a couple things I think are really important for us to talk about. It's because a lot of people, they don't reach a level where they have time and financial leverage where whatever they're working on, they're doing it because they're choosing to, because of, as you said, like speed and efficiency of growth. Like the more you're involved, the faster things are going to grow because no one cares as much as you do. And so the more you remove, the slower the business is actually going to grow because no one else is pushing it that way. But a lot of people, whether they're in an online business or they're launching a practice, what keeps them from achieving like control over their time and income is because they delegate things in the wrong order. They delegate the things that they don't want to do or the things that they don't want to learn. Whereas that means that you're continuing to do the things in the business that you are the best at. And that means you are giving a lot of your time and energy into the business. And it's really hard to get yourself out of it when you do it that way, because now you built a business that completely depends on you. Whereas the right way to do it is to take the thing that you are the best at, that you spend the most time on, and that is the thing that you delegate first, because now you can train on it, you can teach on it, and that gives you all the time back to start mastering the next thing that you need to learn, so that you can then train and retain somebody else. Because what happens when you don't become a master of each component of your business is you're now dependent on someone else to figure it out. And this either means that you're paying them a lot more, or they are coming in with a lot of expertise and knowledge already. They don't really need you. And if you're not training and supporting them and they don't feel like they are getting better as a result of working underneath you, you're never going to retain that person. And so it's also really important to become a master of each one of these steps so that you have more value to give them besides just money, because there's always going to be opportunity to go and make more money. But if they feel like they're growing as an individual as a result of your leadership, you're going to retain them longer. And so that's why we got to delegate what we're best at first so we can master the next piece, develop the skill and the system, and then hand off the next thing that you're the best at, and then start working on the thing that you suck at next. And that is how you buy back your time and then create a team that is really loyal and sticks with the business, that you can continue to mentor and teach, that creates that culture and that community that people want to stick around for.
Right. Right. And it's crazy to me. I think the second thing that I see the biggest mindset roadblock for PTs is one, money mindset, but
Yeah.
two, how like tightly PTs hold on to not passing off treatment, or
Mm-hmm.
or handing off patients, or like decreasing their patient care hours. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
They PTs wonder why they're so stuck in their practice, and it's because they're treating 20 or 30 hours out of the
Right.
week. It's insane to me. It's like such an easy thing that I don't know if it's like an identity thing that people hold on to, that they're like, I went to PT school, I'm a physical therapist. If I decrease my hours, I'm losing a part of myself. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it is. It could be, but it's the most self-sabotaging piece that I see when people that prevent people from scaling, gaining their time back, is that mindset
Right.
stuff that, hey, only I can treat this way, or only
Right.
I can treat the patients in my practice, stuff like that. So,
Right. It's almost like they think of themselves as the taxi driver rather than the Turo like fleet owner, where it's like they have to be the ones driving. That it's people are coming to them for them, but versus the systems and the and like the values and expectations that they set as like a company. It's like you got to build the business, and the people come to the business because of your standards and the systems that you've created, not because of you. And I also think a lot of people fear it's like no one's going to do it as well as me. Like no one's going to treat as well as I can. It's like, especially if you're a new grad, that is very naive. Like you can definitely find people who are way better than you. And it's not whether or not they care about the business. It's really about like, how can you make them care about the business? And if you can't make them care about the business, then your leadership is the thing that you just got to work on next. And so, yeah, it's a funny thing that PTs have a really hard time letting go of. Any tips to help people like get over that? Like, did you struggle with that when you hired your first PT?
I did a little bit, but I also knew that I wanted to help more people.
Yeah.
You know, I can only help 20, 25 people a week.
Yeah.
We're helping hundreds now every single week.
Mm.
And I realized that honestly, I was being selfish by not doing it. Like there's people out there that I can't help. Like I had like a 2 or 3 week wait list, and there's 2 or 3 weeks worth of people that were in pain that were waiting for opening. Well, if I hired and just brought on a physical therapist, these people wouldn't be in pain. But because it didn't last long, but my hesitancy to hire was impacting tens of other people from getting the help that they need. And was I okay with that, or should I just get over myself and just do it? Right. And that's what kind of pushed me over the edge. Like, honestly, I'm just being selfish at this point. Just stop being a pussy, hire. Like that's what it comes down to. You know, it's just like you gotta get over it. You gotta get over it.
Right.
It's impacting other people from getting the help that they need. And I knew my big thing was helping a lot of people. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to achieve what I wanted to with my business if I didn't hire. And so it wasn't really a question at that point.
Right. So we covered the real secret to creating passive income, whether it's an online business or a practice, is you have to build systems that allow you to plug people into those systems and get your time back, so you can focus on leading and retaining those people. Because it goes in first, you build the service, and the service is good. Then you have the opportunity to build the business, the systems around that service, and then you have the opportunity to build the people that build the business. But you have to get to the point, and you have to build the practice to the point where you can actually like sustain having people on your team. They have to be able to make enough money. So you do have to build a big machine, and it does require a lot of upfront hard work. It's not like you can just launch a program or start a practice and hire one person, and now you have passive income. It requires a lot of mastery, self-mastery, as well as the development of a lot of different skills. And once you have those skills, now you can delegate and you can teach and you can attract people who are actually better than you. Because if you don't have a rudimentary level of like skill in each of those areas, you're not going to attract the A players either. If you're completely lost, the best salespeople, the best PTs, the best media buyers, they're not going to want to come and work for your company. So you do need to develop these skills so that you become a person that other people want to follow. And so as we kind of said, you got to delegate what you're the best at first, so you can develop those skills, build it out, and then delegate it. So Ben, you already kind of mentioned what passive income, like, so you're doing $2 million a year inside of your practice. Real quickly, explain like what your week actually looks like for this passive income.
Yeah. So the meetings I have to technically run ProKinetics, I could run ProKinetics in less than 5 hours a week. And that's just because I have 5 hours of meetings with each clinic director, and these LPN meetings and meetings with the sales team as well. So that's really the only thing that I would take. I just need to make sure I'm supporting them. If I'm supporting them, then they're supporting, the PTs underneath them, the front desk underneath them as well. So that's really the only thing that I need to do. But I still work 40 to 60 hours every single week. And it's learning how to lead better, how to manage people better, different hiring strategies, interviewing candidates, stuff like that. So Mine's more on the recruitment side of things and building that aspect out. And now guess what? Once I have that a more dialed in machine, now that's getting handed off to the clinic director. So the clinic director and I are actually tag teaming the hiring process now. It used to be entirely me. So now I'm building out the systems on the hiring and recruitment piece. So they start taking that off my plate right now. But right now we're not, we just hired on 2 new PTs at the Oakland location. And so we're really not hiring, actively recruiting and doing interviews right now because we have the PTs we need. But so my days are a lot more chill. But once we go back to hire, it's gonna ramp back up again. But now I'm gonna start hiring, handing off some of that stuff to the clinic director. So mine's more on recruitment and leadership.
And that's kind of like the fun pattern of it. It's like as you delegate each thing that you're great at, you work on the next thing. And then as you become a master of that thing, then you never need to do it again. So it's like right now you've delegated PT, you've delegated sales, you've delegated day-to-day management. And now you're mastering the leadership and the hiring component of it, which you're going to hand off next. And that is then going to take you to the point where now it's like pretty much completely self-sustaining. So you can work on everything else. Now, on the other side of things, like I'm CEO of Clinical Marketer, we're doing $2 million a year. My week looks a little bit different. Yes, I'm in the meetings to help manage the team, but now my full-time job is content creation because it's the content and the resources that we put out there that drives the leads and feeds the business. And so that's still definitely not passive. Every single day, I'm either helping lead the sales team or I'm creating content. And so that's as passive as it really gets. Now, sure, it can get to a point where I'll be able to hand off leadership of the sales team. And I already have a plan for delegating the content creation component of this. But first, it requires me mastering and developing the system. Now I can plug in our coaches to start creating content to grow the business. And so the road to passive income is not straight. And it is not easy. It requires the mastery of a lot of different skills. Now, it is definitely possible for PTs. I love the online coaching space, but I would recommend going and starting your own practice, not just because most PTs don't want to become like a master of marketing. I love marketing. I love staying on top of this stuff. Most PTs don't. And growing a cash practice just requires mastering the skills of leading people and being able to recruit and hire. That's really the key to growing and scaling in that area. Because Ben, like what percentage of your new patients are just from organic channels, just because you've built it to the point where now it's like just growing itself?
Yeah, I mean, we spent probably from paid advertising and reverse engineer it. Paid advertising probably makes about 10 or 15% of our patients. Mm-hmm. So 85% is organic leads.
Right. And so like initially you got to start out spending way more on like advertising. Well, not way more, but a larger percentage of your new patients are going to be from ads to basically push your practice to the point where now it's well known. You have the results, you have the reviews, and then it starts to kind of grow itself. And then referrals and organic marketing turns into the primary driver because now people are just finding you on Google. And so that's the level that you want to get to. But on the front end, requires a lot of hard work. And so, but once you remove yourself from the business, you delegate the core functions, marketing, sales, and fulfillment, that is an infinite money glitch. Because now when you go on vacation, when you are on the other side of the world, other people are taking care of the business that drives revenue in. And so that's really the secret to all of this. But it requires a lot of hard work and commitment to being a master of the core functions of business so that you can manage them when they're broken. You can train people on them, and people can see you as a true leader.
Yeah, I can make a case that if you're only getting into it for passive revenue, you'll never have passive revenue. Like you've got to actually love this. Like I'm not in it for, like passive revenue is great. It's part of the reason I do this, but it's not the main reason. And I want to have achieved passive income as that was my only goal. Right. In my opinion, you don't be as nice as possible, but you don't have the work ethic to be able to achieve passive revenue.
Right.
If only that's your main goal of doing this is passive revenue. Just
right. If your goal is to not work, essentially, It's never going to happen, because although Ben and I don't have to work as much as we do because we love this shit.
Mhm.
Like Ben and I are now meeting on Saturdays to go to this beautiful, incredible brunch spot right on the beach to just work for 5 hours on Saturday. And that's like the thing I look forward to every single week.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I love that. I love doing that with you.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. And yeah, it's hard to beat somebody that gets enjoyment out of working for 5 hours on a Saturday.
Right. So passive income basically comes when you develop systems, but at that point you love this game so much that it's like it's not really passive because you're working still, because you love it, and that accelerates everything else.
Yep.
So any closing remarks on passive income, Ben? Because I don't want to scare people out of pursuing passive income, because it is possible and it's a really fun thing to like aim for. It's more of like a trophy. It's more of an accomplishment than like a destination.
Mhm.
You know?
No, I think we hit everything on it. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent, everybody. Well, if you have questions on building your business, whatever kind of business that is, how to systematize your stuff, how to buy back your time, definitely drop them in the comments. If you want another episode on how to actually build out, like what are the first steps in order to get there, we'll make one of our next episodes on what does the path actually look like from starting a practice to hiring your first PT and what that actually looks like. So thanks for listening, everybody. Watch out for the next episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast, dropping next week, Friday.